Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Automation Testing Online. In my previous video we discussed about V model, its advantages and disadvantages. In today's video we are going to study about static testing and dynamic testing. Of course we discussed about static and dynamic testing in my previous video. In today's video we are going to study about in-depth about static and dynamic testing. So let's begin the session. What is static testing? As we all know, static testing is actually testing the documents. We are not testing the software. So we are testing the documents through techniques like review, walkthrough, and inspection. Review. As soon as we receive the document from the client, the first step is we will be reviewing the documents. That document will be distributed for all the team members, and every member in the team has to review the document. They have to verify whether the content in the document is right or not and whether the document contains all the content. So for that purpose, review is done. Review has types which are requirement review, design review, code review, test plan review, and test cases review. Requirement review is actually reviewing the requirement document. Design review is reviewing the high level design and low level designs. Code review is done by developers, where developers will be reviewing each module. And test plan review and test cases review are done by testers. Next is walkthrough. Walkthrough is the informal meeting. Walkthrough does not have a specific plan or a specific time. Here in walkthrough, no meeting is scheduled at a particular time, and walkthrough is led by author is the one who has created the document. So the meeting is led by author, and author will clarify the queries which are raised by the peers during the meeting. Next is inspection. Inspection is the most formal meeting, and this meeting is led by the moderator. It is not certainly led by the author, it is actually led by the moderator. So since it is a formal meeting, emails has to be sent to each member of the team to invite them for the meeting. So the meeting will be scheduled properly at a particular time. And the members involved in this meeting, three main members are involved in this meeting. They are author, moderator, and reviewer. Author is the one, as we know, who has created the document, and moderator is the organizer who has organized the meeting, and moderator will act as a mediator within the team, and reviewer is the one who takes the notes during the meeting. For example, if some of the peers raises a question, and reviewer will make a note of that question and answers, and what are all the clarifications done during the meeting. So this is all about static testing and its techniques. So now we'll discuss about dynamic testing. As we all know, we have all already discussed about dynamic testing in my previous video, which is dynamic testing is actually testing the actual software. And here in dynamic testing, we have to execute the code to ensure that whether the software works properly or not. So dynamic testing is achieved by unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and UAT testing. What is unit testing? Unit testing is done by developers. Unit testing is also called as module testing. And developers will test each individual module of the source to ensure that whether the module works as intended or not. So that purpose will be developers will be using unit testing. Next is integration testing. The definition for integration testing is that integration testing is the process of testing the interface between the two software units. That is testing the performance between two or more modules. We'll understand more by looking into the integration testing approaches, which are top-down approach, bottom-up approach, Big Bang approach, and sandwich approach. Firstly, top-down approach. As the name suggests, we'll be testing the modules from top to down. So, in top-down approach, we'll be adding the modules incrementally from top to down and testing the data flow between those two modules. And we have to ensure that the module we are adding is actually child of the previous module. Here in the example, we can see A and B two modules. So here we are adding the modules from top to down and we are testing the data flow between these two modules, and we have to ensure that B is the child of A. Let us consider an example Gmail application. In Gmail application, we have many modules like composing, trash, draft, sendbox, etc. So in Gmail, if we compose a mail and we have sent it to one of our friends, we will be checking the sendbox to ensure whether the mail has sent or not. So there is a connection between the compose and the sendbox. So those that type of testing is called as integration testing. So in this Gmail application example, we have to ensure that the module we are adding should be the child of the previous module. That is, in Gmail application, Sendbox is the child. If you are adding Sendbox, Sendbox should be the child of the Compose module. So top down, this is all about top down approach. And here we have taken an example of two modules. If there are many modules, for example, we have many modules, we can do testing between many modules also. So here, this is since it is a top-down approach, the testing will be done in this manner from top to down in this manner. So friends, if for example, if one of the module is not yet developed, so in that case, developers will use a temporary unit, I mean temporary code or a dummy unit, which are called as stub. Stub. For example, in a payment application app, if we have done the payment and next we have to be redirected to the order summary page. So in that case, if that page is not yet developed, developers will be using a temporary code or a dummy unit which is called a stub, which is which they'll be using for only a temporary purpose until the actual module is developed. Now we'll discuss about the second approach, which is bottom-up approach. Bottom-up approach is also similar to top-down approach. As the name suggests, here we are testing from bottom to up. For example, here A is the parent and B is the child. We'll be testing the data flow. We'll be adding the modules incrementally and testing the data flow between those two modules from bottom to top, bottom to up, from B to A. We'll consider the same Gmail application as an example, where we'll be testing the sandbox and then the compose module, and we have to ensure that the module we are adding is actually the parent of the previous module. I hope you have understood the difference between the top-down approach and bottom-up approach. Similarly, for in uh, bottom-up approach, if any of the module is not yet developed, bottom-up approach is also used for many modules, not only for two modules. Bottom-up approach can be used for many modules where we'll be testing from bottom to top. So if any of the module is not yet developed, in that case we will be using something called drivers. Drivers is similar to stub, which is a dummy unit or a temporary code which is used only for a limited time until the actual module is developed. So this is all about top down approach and bottom up approach. Coming to Big Bang approach. In Big Bang approach, we'll be adding all the modules all together and testing them in one shot. Compared to these two approaches, in these two approaches, we'll be adding the modules incrementally one by one, and then we'll be testing the data flow between those two modules. But in Big Bang approach, we'll be adding all the modules to all together and then testing the modules in one shot is called as Big Bang approach. The drawbacks in Big Bang approach is that if you're testing all the modules in one shot, we'll miss some of the modules to test, and we might end up in testing the same modules again and again. One more drawback is that if we find any defect, we could not find the root cause for that defect. So these are the drawbacks of Big Bang approach. The last approach is sandwich approach. Sandwich approach is the combination of top-down approach and bottom-up approach. So this is all about integration testing and its approaches. In my next video, we'll discuss about the remaining two techniques in dynamic testing, which are system testing and UAT testing. We'll discuss about those testing in depth. Thank you, friends.